This is Dr. Jennifer Jansen from the Zepf Center. You're listening to JJ's Clinical Connection, connecting you to clinical topics. Welcome back. We're glad you joined us today. In this episode, we're diving into Zepf Center's Criminal Justice Program, a comprehensive approach that helps individuals navigate the justice system, engage in treatment, and rebuild their lives. From federal probation to treatment court and court referrals, the program provides critical support through Zepf Center's integrated trauma-informed continuum of care. To guide us through this conversation, we're joined by Criminal Justice Coordinator Nate Konzen and Director of Recovery Services Amanda Lanigan. These dedicated clinicians will help us explore the program in depth, learn about the population it serves, and highlight the vital role of community collaboration in this work. We'll also be talking with Nate about his lived experience and unique insights into the challenges and opportunities of recovery and reentry. Together, we'll discuss how this program is changing lives, reducing recidivism, and building stronger pathways to success. Let's get into it. Well, thanks for joining us today. Would you mind introducing yourselves to our listeners and telling them a little bit about your role here at Zepf Center?
My name is Nate Konzen, and I am the Criminal Justice Coordinator at the Zepf Center.
My name is Amanda Lanigan, and I am the Director of Recovery Services.
Great. Tell us a little bit about your role here at Zepf Center and how long you've been working with the Criminal Justice Program.
I have been working with the Criminal Justice Program since February of this year. I help to coordinate the day-to-day services provided to our clients, as well as run groups and provide individual therapy sessions.
And I have been within the criminal justice program since May of 2017. So it's been my 8.5 years now. I don't necessarily do the day-to-day anymore. Nate has helped take that over for me, but I am still involved in the program as well as our residential program.
Great. Well, tell us a little bit about how you got involved in this specific service.
I first got introduced to this program by being a member of the Lucas County Treatment Court myself personally. And through the help that I received from the treatment court, I was able to go back to school and pursue my education to try to help others that are experiencing some of the same challenges that I have in my life. And I was able to graduate with my master's degree in clinical mental health counseling and come back and work at the Zepf Center.
So before I got to Zepf, I worked at Volunteers of America, which is better known as a halfway house, easiest way to think of it. And I worked with their federal contract. So then I transitioned over to Zepf because Zepf has a federal contract. So it just kind of aligns pretty nicely.
Great. Sounds like both of you have unique experiences that help inform the work that you do. Tell us a little bit about how clients get involved with the program.
So different ways. So we have different contracts, different programs. So we have our Bureau of Prisons program. You'll hear us say BOP. It's just shortened version, easier to say than Bureau of Prisons every time. So our BOP program is a contract that we've had for, I think, since 2017. It's a 10-year contract. So we will be done with that one in 2028, and then we will bid on it again. So those ones are specifically referred to us from our contract specialist with BOP. Our federal contract, which was just renewed, that is also referred by the probation officers specifically with the federal program. So those are our contract ones. And then we also have a treatment court that Nate was talking about. Those are referred by the judge or our treatment court's counselor helps with that. But we also get referrals for our program from intake, from residential, so within our organization as well.
What are some of the most common challenges individuals face when navigating the criminal justice system? And how does your program help to address those?
There are a number of challenges that an individual can face while trying to navigate their journey through the legal system. Something you might hear is that sometimes the process is worse than the punishment, and that the aspect of trying to navigate the hurdles and obstacles that someone has to go through can be incredibly difficult to navigate, especially from a mental health and substance use standpoint. I always envisioned it as almost like an old cartoon where a rain cloud was following me everywhere I went. You know, there is that constant presence over somebody, and that creates additional stress and anxiety for someone to try to navigate the daily life challenges that come up, but also to ensure that they are complying with all of the requirements for probation or parole. And being able to be there and help support them through some of those challenges while they're trying to rebuild their lives and potentially rebuild relationships with people that they maybe haven't had as much contact with recently. There can be a number of challenges from that relationship standpoint due to time spent away, but there can also be a lot of challenges, whether that be employment, housing, and like I said, also trying to maintain sobriety if they have a substance use disorder. So there's a number of different challenges in trying to view a person in a more holistic way to try to help them navigate these challenges and reintegrate into society as successfully as possible, but also to build those strong, meaningful relationships in their life. We provide a large continuum of care from residential all the way down to outpatient groups, and then also combining that with individual therapy for especially our population who can come in with a hesitance to trust, and being able to build that rapport and that relationship in a one-on-one capacity can give them a starting place to practice some of these skills of opening up and trusting people as they're trying to rebuild those relationships outside of our organization.
Nate, you bring up a good point, too. You mentioned that this is in addition to perhaps working to address a mental health issue or a substance use disorder, which really ties this into the core of what Zepf Center does, right? Building hope through treatment services. Can you talk a little bit about the root cause and why someone might find themselves involved in our criminal justice program?
There could be a number of socioeconomic issues or reasons why someone might find themselves in our program. It can be difficult for any person to maintain sobriety or help to effectively navigate the symptoms of a mental health diagnosis. But when someone also has the hurdles and obstacles that can come with legal involvement, it can make it even more difficult to try to focus on some of those issues. Also, some of the stigma that they might feel from society at large could also encourage them to try to soothe themselves in a way that has been most comfortable for them. And sometimes there is a comfort in the chaos of the lifestyle that they have had. That doesn't mean that it's healthy. It means that it's comfortable. And a new lifestyle in recovery or trying to acknowledge and work on our mental health symptoms can feel uncomfortable. Our focus of trying to view the individual and the mental health and substance use disorder as a health issue to be treated instead of a moral failing to be punished, and providing them with the support to try to help them move forward, having our clients come to our program where we can challenge them in a healthy environment, whether that be in group therapy or individual therapy, for them to start to challenge more irrational belief patterns or some of their human thinking errors and work through those to find better, healthier solutions for themselves, which will also impact their loved ones as well in a positive way.
Great. Now, I know we talk about our criminal justice system as a program overall, but Amanda, can you break this down for us? Because there's lots of components to this program. There's Bureau of Prisons, there's federal probation and pretrial, treatment court, court referrals. Help us sort through all of this.
Sure, there are quite a few. Our Bureau of Prisons, also known as BOP, we've had that contract since 2017, and it's a 10-year contract. So the individuals coming from federal prison are getting out early. They're going to a halfway house. And while they're at that halfway house, they have the opportunity to get treatment, whether that's mental health, whether that's substance use. We work with them. We have our group therapy, individual therapy. Unfortunately, we can't do other things like case management, but that's just part of the contract. Then we also have our federal contracts, federal probation contract, which consists of our pretrial and post-conviction from the federal side. Those individuals, we typically have our SUD, substance use. That's the contract we have in our residential, and our detox contract with the federal program, which just got renewed. So we just got that contract again, October 1st of this year. So we have that contract for another 5 years. Then we also have our treatment court, which Nate was talking about a little bit earlier. So we have a counselor specifically for treatment court in our program. So that is the adult felony courts. And we also have a family drug court that works with individuals who are Lucas County Children's Services. So they are trying to get their kids back into their custody. So we collaborate with others.
Sounds like a lot of collaboration between all of these service entities and Zepf Center from a treatment perspective.
Correct. Yes. So our Lucas County Family Drug Courts typically works a lot with our MOMS program, and our adult felony court typically works with our recovery house. It works with our residential programs. So our internal programs, can go on and on. Our external programs, I would say, our external organizations, we work a lot with our judges at the Lucas County Common Pleas Courts. We work with probation officers constantly. I feel like I'm talking to them daily at this point because we do have a lot of communication with the probation officers. So we work a lot with our external organizations as well. We also have reentry programs that some of our staff goes to, which is huge in my opinion.
What kinds of treatment services are available to participants in this program, and how do you determine which level of care someone might need?
In order to determine a client's level of care, we provide them with an assessment that is called an ASAM. ASAM stands for American Society of Addiction Medicine. This assessment, and this goes back to how I spoke on viewing the client in a holistic way. This assessment examines and assesses them in 6 different dimensions. The first being their acute withdrawal potential, the second dimension dealing with physical health, the third dimension dealing with their mental health and emotional aspects, the fourth dimension dealing with their readiness to change and their motivations. The fifth dimension is relapse potential or continued use potential. And the sixth is their living environment or recovery environment, including the supports they have in their life that are positive. So our clinicians will provide someone with this assessment to determine the fitting and most accurate level of care for the client, whether that be detox or residential, all the way down to our outpatient groups that are twice a week. So of those, they can go to different levels of care from, like I said, detox, residential, down to PHP, which is daily treatment, but they do not reside at our facility. After that is IOP, which is intensive outpatient, and that's 4 days a week. And then after that is outpatient, which is 2 days a week. We also combine this with individual therapy to be able to help them process things on a deeper level and share things that they might not feel comfortable sharing in a group session. And while there are benefits to both group and individual therapy, providing both services helps to provide them with the care that, like I said, is more holistic, but allows them to truly process some of the things they might have experienced in their life that led to some of maybe the substance use issues or also some of the legal issues they've came across in their life.
So I want to add that within our criminal justice program, we have staff that have been working with clients within the criminal justice system for many years. So that's one of the things that I love, is that we do have that staff who are able to talk to our clients, maybe in a different way, but they're able to guide them through the process, which I think is very unique. So I love that about our program.
Now, I know both of you are strong advocates for the benefits of treatment, right? It's exactly why you're doing what it is that you do here at Zepf Center. But let's talk a little bit about some of the clients that come into our program and perhaps the resistance to treatment that you might experience.
Yes, that happens sometimes. So they are. And one of the things that one of our counselors, Matt, says that sticks with me is you always have the right to change your minds. So you might come in here resistant, but honestly, a lot of times I think they just don't know what to expect. They don't know what the services we have. They think they're being punished for something, just another punishment. So by us guiding them, by us explaining to them what services we do have that they don't even know, I think that is helpful. But I think we all recognize that this is a real possibility, is we are going to have clients that are resistant. So knowing that and being able to assist them through the process is what we do.
We certainly do have clients who come in and are initially resistant. Just because they're in that place at that moment doesn't mean they will always be in that place. We can meet them where they're at and try to work with them to help increase their motivation. Like Amanda spoke on, sometimes people can be referred to our organization and can view us and our program as an extension of the legal system. Something that I try to focus on with my clients is by clearly defining my role for them. I am not a probation officer. I am not a judge. I am your therapist. I am here to try to help you get to where you want to be in this life. I want to create an environment in my office where you can feel comfortable to come in and leave something there so you don't have to carry it with you in the world while you're trying to move forward. Clearly defining my role hopefully helps to build a little bit more of trust and understanding that I am not a part of the legal system. I just work with people who are involved in the legal system, and creating that separation, because if they get referred to us, it is understandable that they might think we are an annex of the legal system, so to say, and ensuring that they are aware that that is not the case.
Nate, you shared some of your personal journey with us, and I'd like to hear more about how your lived experience helps to shape the way that you connect with clients and help them navigate the criminal justice program.
I have had my own personal legal involvement from my first arrest at age 16 to again at 19, 21, and then at 26. So I have had legal involvement for the majority of my teenage years and into my 20s. As this is often seen as a progressive illness, at 26 is when things began to get more legal involvement, and I ended up spending over a year of my life incarcerated and overdosing 3 times in between the ages of 26 and 29. Fortunately, at 29 years old, I recognized that I could not continue living this way any longer. I had reached that point of surrender and desperation, and Zepf Center was fortunately there to allow me to come into their detox at that moment in time. So I completed Zepf's detox and residential program and was then referred to Lucas County's adult treatment court. And through the process of being in Lucas County's adult treatment court, then combined with residing at the Zepf Recovery House for over a year, I was able to develop some structure in my life that I recognized I benefited from. But I always struggled to implement it myself. These programs, the treatment court as well along with Zepf, helped me to be able to implement that structure in my life and learn how to do that independently. This helped me as well because I did individual therapy for the first 18 months of my sobriety. This helped me to process some of the guilt and shame that I was experiencing about the lifestyle that I had lived, and helped me to work through some of the challenges that I was coming into now with my criminal record looking the way it did, and how I needed to navigate some of those without it being detrimental to myself or my behaviors. And those feelings that are brought up are natural. Something I tell my clients is we don't apologize for feelings, we apologize for actions. And it's how do I work through my emotions and my thoughts in order to make sure they don't negatively impact my actions. And I fortunately was blessed with the support from Zepf and from the treatment court to be able to learn how to do that and challenge myself in a safe and healthy space to be able to navigate some of those challenges that came with the legal system.
Re-entry and rebuilding can be overwhelming, as you're talking about now. How do you help support clients in areas like employment, housing, or reconnecting with family?
Well, I would say that we can't do it alone. So while we are the criminal justice program, if there's something I don't know how to do or that I don't specialize in, I'm going to get that help from an internal source. So our employment programs, our case management programs, which we have all of that here at Zepf. So I personally will ask for the help from our internal staff.
We can help link them to housing through the Zepf Recovery House, but also in terms of employment and trying to secure a more long-term financial stability, we can help them by completing certificates of qualification for employment, which can help to provide them with opportunities due to having a criminal record. That, coupled with the process of trying to help them seal their records and filling out the paperwork and submitting that to the court systems to try to help show the legal system the progress they have made. When speaking with clients about this, I try to break it down into 3 sections. First, show them, write down and give them the information of what you have done to show you are living a different way of life. 2, tell them what you are currently doing now that shows you're living a different way of life. And 3, tell them what the plan is moving forward and how you're going to continue this and how having your record sealed is going to help you continue to live this way of life, and showing them that it doesn't stop here, that this continues and moves forward. Being able to provide that support and guidance can help them to not feel that fear of the unknown when navigating a system that they might not feel comfortable with, but providing them with the support of, I might not be able to guarantee you what's going to happen, but I can guarantee you that you don't have to go through it alone.
Nate, you touched a little bit on guilt and shame, and we are a trauma-informed agency. Stigma often follows people with a criminal record. How does this program help clients rebuild their identity and overcome that stigma?
I think that identity piece is huge, especially for clients who have their whole identity tied up in either substance use or a criminal lifestyle. That the process of coming into a life of recovery, it can look like a better life, but it's still something they don't know how to navigate. That's still a fear of the unknown because they don't know what a life looks like when living sober day to day, when trying to better yourself day to day. So trying to work through them from a trauma-informed perspective and asking what happened to you instead of why are you acting this way? That everyone who comes through our door had an entire life of experiences that led them to that moment. And I might not know exactly what occurred to them, but the fact that they got into our building shows they have an opportunity. They have an opportunity to live a life that they can only have dreamed of. And how do we help them to try to get to that place and help them work through some of the trauma and guilt that they have experienced throughout their life? And how do we help them to heal and process some of that trauma? My goal as a therapist when working with them is to help them process and deal and handle and feel the emotions that came with some of their traumatic experiences, and how do we work through it. Oftentimes people can think because something happened so long ago, it does not impact me today. But when we shove things down, whether it be experiences or emotions, they have a habit of coming out through our actions. And being able to sit down and work through this with people so they are able to move forward and not dwell in that place, but experience it and move forward to a better life, that is incredibly rewarding for me. Sometimes when a person has a criminal record, people can make judgments about who they are and can extrapolate that to define them as a person as a whole. They can assume that that's who they are going to be forever. People are capable of change, and just because they lived a certain way of life does not mean they have to live that way anymore. Some of the challenges they can experience can be more micro on a person-to-person basis, how they might be treated in daily life, some of the judgments and comments they could receive, and they can also be more macro from larger systems as they try to move their life forward. I know for myself personally, when I tried to go back to school, that was a months and months long process of writing essay after essay with the Office of Student Conduct to try to show that I was living a different way of life. This did not mean it was impossible for me to get into school. It just meant I had extra obstacles to navigate. That's part of what our program does, is help these clients to navigate these additional obstacles that come up. It does not mean that accomplishing their goals is impossible. It just means they're going to have to navigate some obstacles in order to get there. It is unfortunate that sometimes there are going to be judgments that this is always who you're going to be. And people very well could always view me in a certain light. I can't control how someone's going to view me. I can control trying to treat the next person I come across as best I can. And so that's where my focus personally lies.
Well, Nate, I know that the journey surely has not been easy for you to accomplish what you have achieved today, but you're certainly living proof that change is possible. For listeners who may not understand the impact of treatment within the justice system, why is access to behavioral health care so critical?
So we've talked about the therapy ends. Nate has talked about it. But one of the other things that we offer is our medically assisted treatments for our substance use, and also our psychiatric medication for mental health. So when you integrate them all together, we're working on treating that whole person. One of the things that I've always wanted to do or think is important is to make sure that we get to our clients as soon as we can, which typically for me means when they're still in custody. A lot of times they need those mental health services, those substance use services, the MAT services, which Vivitrol, methadone, Suboxone. So I find it very important to start there.
As a sanctuary institute, a important value is open communication, and this is something that we need to practice not just internally while communicating with prescribers for whether that be psychiatric medication or medicated assisted treatment such as Vivitrol, Suboxone, or methadone, but also communicating with those in the legal system such as probation officers, parole officers, judges, and trying to help educate them on the benefits long-term for a client being prescribed these medications.
What changes or expansions have you seen in this program, and what do you think has driven that growth?
So our program started off with me and one other counselor. We had a very small program, very small services. We started off with we had our Bureau of Prisons program, still small. We had another community transition program. But other than that, that was basically it. So right around COVID time, right before COVID, we expanded to our IOP groups, then our OP groups. So our OP groups are a little bit more specialized. So we have the cognitive behavioral therapy. We also have our trauma-informed OP group. But not only did we add the services, we added the quality of services as well. So I love to say we added all these programs, but I also think the staff brings that knowledge and are able to connect with our clients. So I do think it's our quality of services as well.
The growth of the programs, including our intensive outpatient and our outpatient programs, helped us to also grow the clinical services that we provided in the type of care we can provide and what we could focus on. So as our intensive outpatient grew, which is again 4 times a week, we were able to add outpatient groups, which is the next stage after that meets twice a week. This helps to provide our clients with gradual transitions, which is easier for them to navigate. It's not as overwhelming. That support doesn't instantly go away. The support gradually decreases so they still have touch points. As we move forward and get to our outpatient groups that only meet twice a week, we can also provide a different clinical support by shifting some of the focus to more trauma groups and being able to provide support in that way as it is more appropriate for where they are in their journey through sobriety. As they become more stable, we can help to open up some of these things and work through them and process them. And we're able to focus on some more mental health aspects. This can be particularly helpful for this population due to the fact that mental health, again, has a stigma like we've spoken about. And I personally run a men seeking safety group that is, like I said, men only, but we are able to challenge some of the stigma that comes with mental health in this particular population. It is my job as the therapist to broach this topic, especially in group, to try to make it okay to discuss more and further. And oftentimes we have clients who have never considered this. They've never been willing or been in an environment of being able to speak about it. This gives us a chance to focus not just on their substance use, but also some of the underlying mental health issues that could be occurring and could be contributing to their substance use if they are potentially self-medicating. This also provides them with supports and in a group setting can help them to realize that I'm not the only one going through this potentially, that other people have experienced difficult situations similar to mine. Maybe other people are experiencing symptoms similar to mine, or their upbringing has had challenges that was similar to the same challenges another client has. And being able to see them relate and gain strength from each other's stories and be able to discuss how they were able to move through that and different coping skills and ways to navigate life, because them being in my group is temporary. One day they're not going to be on probation anymore. They are not going to be in my group anymore. But how do I help them to heal from some of the things that have happened and provide them with tools so that later down the line they are able to navigate life in a healthier way and lean on supports that they were able to build outside of our agency using the skills and tools we were able to give them inside our agency?
Nate, what you're talking about sounds a lot like Maslow's hierarchy, right? So it's a pyramid where the foundation, or the bottom level of the pyramid, the largest level, is really our basic needs. It's our food, it's our shelter, it's our safety. And as you're able to spend time in treatment, you can address some of the higher needs, the emotional needs, developing yourself and working on goals, working on recovery. Tell us what success looks like for someone that is in this program, and not just legally, but also personally and professionally.
Success can look unique on those levels for each client. Legally, obviously, progressing through the legal system to hopefully complete probation successfully. But what success looks like to that person can be unique to them. I'll often tell clients, I didn't get sober to just not chase my dreams. I got sober to get everything that I wanted out of this life. And what my dreams are might be different from what your dreams are, and that's okay. It's about finding what that is for you. It's about finding something in your life that gives you meaning and purpose. And there can be multiple things that provide a human with meaning and purpose. They can find that through their relationships with their loved ones. They can find that through their relationships with their children and rebuilding those. They can find that professionally through having a career that is fulfilling, that feels like more than just a job. They can find that also through their hobbies and through passions that they enjoy in life that they can truly pursue now. And being able to work with them to figure out what some of those things are for them, and to navigate some of the challenges that can come with rebuilding relationships when maybe someone doesn't forgive them when they would like to be forgiven, but focusing on working on themselves and moving forward.
Is there a specific success story that sticks with you that you'd like to share?
For me, I have one that I can think of. And this particular person, he was selling drugs his whole life. He was using drugs his whole life. He came from a family that did something similar. And watching him go through our treatment courts, where at one point people just thought, almost gave up on him. And then I asked the court to give him one more chance. And I actually kind of guided him to do some of what we would consider simple things, as how to talk to a judge. Like, you wouldn't think that, which, by the way, do not call a judge by his first name. But just talking to the judge in courts, talking it through before a hearing, before you go in front of the judge for sentencing. Like, that's all things we do in this program that you wouldn't really think about, but it's needed things. And I'm happy to say that he's doing very well right now. He is definitely a success.
I have one client that comes to mind that is a family treatment court client, and she came to us right at the beginning and came into our detox program. I began working with her as her individual therapist while she was still inpatient. She was resistant and not interested in being in treatment. And to be able to sit and meet her where she was at and try to help her move forward from where she was, provided her with support that was able to help her to advance through the family treatment court process. I have gone from seeing her come into my office disinterested and not wanting to share where she was at and frustrated with the process, to telling me she was looking forward to coming to speak with me because she was able to get off of her chest things that were bothering her. I have watched her go from wanting to see her child to spending time with her child and being a present mother. I have gone from seeing her in a courtroom be disinterested with what treatment providers and the judge had to say to providing encouragement to other clients in the treatment court who were in the same place she was 6 months previous.
Wow.
To be able to see that type of progress and to see her not only begin accomplishing her goals, but being able to then turn back and provide support for someone who was in a very similar place as her has been incredibly rewarding.
Nate and Amanda, I want to thank you so much for your insights and your reflections today.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for having me.
What an inspiring conversation. Thank you, Nate and Amanda, for showcasing how our criminal justice program blends treatment, support, and hope, helping individuals not only meet legal obligations, but also make meaningful progress in their personal and professional lives. Through collaboration, compassion, and lived experience, this team continues to grow the department and strengthen community connections that support long-term recovery. If you enjoyed this conversation, be sure to download and share this episode. For the latest clinical connections, subscribe on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, or wherever your favorite podcasts are found. For more information about Zepf Center's criminal justice program and other resources mentioned in this episode, check out our show notes. For more information on Zepf Center, visit us at zepfcenter.org or find us on Facebook, Instagram, and LinkedIn. Until next time, this is Dr. Jennifer Jansen signing off.